It's Tuesday, March 24th, 2026, and it's swamp time, so don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for daily updates you probably won't see in the mainstream. Every article is linked down below in the description, and if this video is too long for you, the highlight clips will begin dropping on this channel tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Eastern, and we're going to start right here from CNN, and more specifically from Matt Van Swol. CNN literally reported that after ICE came to the airports, all the wait times for TSA plummeted. So it sounds like ICE belongs in the airports. And this is coming from CNN of all places. Let's have a look at this.
There may be a celebration here at the airport before it's all said and done, especially for the folks who've been working nonstop, extra shifts. If you look right here, you can see this is the main checkpoint.
Baby.
Almost no lines, no waiting, Sarah. And it's unbelievable at this point. This morning started briskly with a lot of people showing up here at the airport. Lines were long. People were waiting about an hour. But when that rush hour went away pretty quickly this morning, we ended up with this, and there seems to be more lines open than normal right now with the TSA workers here breezing people through.
Look at that. Even TSA showing back up again.
Shocked at how short the lines are.
ICE brings everybody back together.
This morning.
I don't see how extra security could be bad, you know.
Right.
I mean, they're going to help out and, you know, make things move a little faster, but whether they're doing that or not, we don't know. But extra security
certainly looks that way, doesn't it?
I mean, you think it's not going to be that bad, but then you get here and, you know, you think, oh, man, it really is as bad as they say it is.
Okay.
So there's a bit of a mix here. So when people were showing up and going right
into
the TSA pre-check line, a lot of them weren't even checking the main checkpoint line. That line has been open and moving pretty quickly. Some folks just get so used to going to the line they go to, they didn't even check to see what that's like. We've also seen those ICE agents moving through today. A lot of folks are saying they're very pleasant. Look, they're not wearing masks. In fact, on this line right here, you can see two of them standing behind the TSA agents. I'm not sure.
Well, look, the line doesn't look like it's going to the parking garage.
But just wanted to show you that they've been walking around the perimeter. Atlanta police have also been added to this equation.
Yeah, they are, man. They're behind the glass.
Showing up
They're
extra
behind the
patrols.
counter.
But the story right now, Sarah, quite honestly, is the fact that the lines have disappeared. We haven't seen this like in a week. So this is good news.
Like a fart in the wind, huh, Democrats?
You should know that you can probably maybe take a deep breath.
But where's all the killings? Where's all the violence?
Down the hallway.
Where's all the tearing children from the
I guess
families?
we'll just give a thumbs up and smile a little bit, Sarah, and take a break.
I don't know, man. I didn't see anything like that. Democrats, they swore that was going to happen. The instant that ICE came in, it was just going to be absolute pandemonium. It was going to be just just beyond carnage. The second they show up, they were just going to immediately just, I guess, opening fire and just like gunning everybody down. At least that's what they want you to believe. They want you to believe that ICE is just so unhinged and so unstable. They might as well be designated as a terrorist organization, because Democrats are absolutely psychotic. They're off their rockers. Senate Republicans, wrong. ICE agents are lowering the hours-long wait times at airports caused by Democrats. None of this would be necessary if Senator Coons and his colleagues didn't block TSA funding. Not once, not 5, not 10, 14 times. 14 fucking times, man. It's from Local 6 ABC.
This is an empty line right now. We are standing in the middle where travelers come to check in for TSA. Yesterday, this was all the way back to the garage. So good news today, lines aren't too bad. We're live from PHL. Brianna Gallagher, Channel 6 Action News. Matt.
I mean, look, they're right there at the actual regular front entrance. Passengers enter here. It looks like they've got that little gateway thing you walk through right there. I think I can see the machines back here. Yeah. Here you go. Like right over there and off to the left. So, yeah, man, there's like no lines at all. It probably took, 10 minutes, 15 minutes to get through that line? Not too bad. Not too bad at all. And Senator Chris Coons, this is what they were replying to. ICE at airports isn't about fixing delays, lowering costs, or helping families. It's about piling more stress onto already overwhelmed travelers. Instead of deploying ICE to intimidate travelers, he should agree with Democrats to fund TSA. Now, that actually has me thinking maybe this weekend when I have some time, maybe I should grab all of those Democrat posts that I had come across in the days leading up to ICE after it was announced that ICE was going to appear in the airports. Tons of Democrats were basically echoing the exact same thing here, saying that they were going to just wreak havoc. It was going to be mass chaos and violence and political posturing from the Trump administration and so on. Didn't turn out to be that way at all. It actually looks like they did one hell of a good job. And it didn't even take them one full day to clear out all of those lines. It's absolutely amazing, actually. Kevin Sorbo, ICE has completely cleared out the Florida airport where they were stationed. The TSA lines are almost non-existent. Great work. I can't remember which airport. I want to say it was probably Orlando. It definitely wasn't my local airport, which is Tampa. They were not at that location. There were only 14 airports that ICE had reported to, and I want to say Orlando. It's possible it might have been Miami, but Florida's Voice, I want to say they might be out of Orlando. I don't know.
It looks like this. In the couple of hours that I've been here, I've seen ICE officers patrolling, and the line has looked the same since I got here. Completely empty.
Completely
so
empty.
If you see wait times go down while you're traveling, you may just want to thank an ICE officer. Earlier this morning,
Yeah,
travelers
you
may
should.
have experienced a little bit of a wait time, but since I've been here, the lines seem to be moving fairly smooth.
And don't forget to thank TSA also, because they're the ones that aren't getting paid. ICE is getting paid. Whether if they're there or not, they're still getting paid. It's the TSA workers that are not getting paid right now. No thanks to Democrats. 14 freaking times. Brooke Taylor on the way to Houston to cover long TSA lines, and this is what it looks like at DFW. No lines in Dallas. No video, just an image that she shared. Empty. This was absolutely full, man. This was going all the way out of the building and down the sidewalk. If our memory serves, we looked at a bunch of different airports yesterday. Lines everywhere across the country. No lines today. And you know who to thank. Certainly not Democrats. You got to thank Immigration and Customs Enforcement and, of course, the Trump administration. Because if not for the Trump administration, ICE wouldn't have been there in the first place. So anyway, ICE agents shown ripping families apart and shooting people. Okay, so this is what Democrats were warning us about. Let's have a look at this. They're just ripping water out of the packaging, handing them out for free. Everybody had to wait outside. Now that ICE is clearing the lines out. God, that water's so evil. So evil. The humanity. How dare they hand out free water?
Don't be shy, guys.
Yeah, don't be shy.
We'll hold your spot in line, I promise.
Free water.
That was my question. No, yeah, if you need
All the water bottles are all siblings. They're all being ripped away from each other. Oh, the poor water bottles. Oh my God. Bo Loudon, breaking the Democrat defunding of TSA has blown up in their face as travelers are going up and personally thanking ICE agents for their service. God bless ICE and God bless President Trump.
You got vodka?
Very nice.
You got vodka in there?
Very
I
nice.
wish. I wish.
Thank you for your service. Thank you for the service.
You're happy with ICE?
Yes.
Okay.
I like that. I'm happy for
Why
the
not?
ICE. Thank you for the service.
ICE, baby. Thank you for your service. All right, that was funny. Western Lensman Chuck Schumer yesterday. No one trusts that ICE is going to make things better at airports. Local Philadelphia station today, quote, "This is an empty line right now." Yesterday, this was all the way back to the garage, as it seemed that most airports were just like that. If they weren't going out to the parking garage, they were going all the way out the front door and all the way around the corner. And that's the way it has been for like the last week.
Trouble follows. We've seen that. And it is highly likely the airports will be no exception. No one trusts that ICE is going to make things better.
Once again, ICE agents have arrived here in Philadelphia, but I do want to point out, this is an empty line right now. We are standing in the middle where travelers come to check in for TSA. Yesterday, this was all the way back to the garage. So good news today, lines aren't too bad. We're live from PHL.
You heard it a second time.
6 Action News.
Because yeah, I think I already played that segment from her, but regardless, at least you got the side-by-side. Chuck Schumer saying that it's just going to be an absolute nightmare for everybody. ICE is only going to make things like 1 billion times worse. And yeah, as always, the complete opposite is proven true. Basically, anything that Democrats say, you just have to assume the exact opposite is true. If over on Polymarket, every single line, everything that Democrats say, everything Democrats suggest, if they were putting bets on Polymarket, if you just bet opposite of what Democrats are doing, I don't see in what reality that you wouldn't be a multimillionaire in a very short amount of time. Sandy, I am so happy sitting at my gate right now waiting for my airplane. It took me 15 minutes to get through TSA because they have ICE helping them. God bless America, God bless President Trump, and God bless Elon Musk for some reason. I mean, look, Elon Musk said that he was willing to pay for he wanted to pay the salaries of ICE agents until they get the government reopened. Very noble of him, very nice of him. I'm not sure if that's in any way going to be a reality or not. Probably not, but I don't know. I haven't heard whether or not if that's actually moving forward or not, but he had offered to do so, so maybe that's why she's thanking Elon Musk. Although she did say, I know why, but I don't know why, but Just have to include him in case he wants to send his private jet for me. All right. Yeah. Haha. Does Elon Musk even have a private jet? I mean, I'm sure he probably does. But some years back, I remember learning about him wanting to more minimalize his lifestyle. I guess he owned like several houses. One of them was owned by Gene Wilder at some point, or he had it built. It was like some eccentric house or whatever. But apparently Elon Musk sold all of his properties, and he was trying to downsize because he was of that classic line that if you own enough stuff, it ends up owning you, that kind of thing. So he said it was just a waste of time managing just all that nonsense that he had in his portfolio. So I'm not sure if that's still the case or not. Anyway, Derek Evans, seen at Dulles, draws attention. Traveler approaches ICE agents at IAD to thank them as they assist during long TSA delays.
Hey, man. My wife's an immigrant. I work with a lot of foreigners. It's really important. I spent 2 years in Afghanistan and 1 in Iraq. You see a society that doesn't know how to control its borders, and things blow up. Yeah. I really appreciate the fact that you guys do this and it's hard work. That's all. All right. Thank you. Have a good one.
Yeah, it was a little hard to hear. I believe he said something along the lines of him serving in Afghanistan for a couple of years, and he appreciates what they're doing. RNC research, while Georgia Democrat Senator Jon Ossoff is missing in action, the ICE officers he slanders are cleaning up his DHS shutdown mess in Atlanta. This is from the Trump War Room. Atlanta airport traveler on ICE helping TSA clear long security lines. Quote, they're here doing a job just like TSA is. Thank goodness for them. So let's hear from travelers.
They're here doing a job just like TSA is. And bless their hearts, they're out here working without a paycheck, trying to help people. And they've got a job to do just like everybody else, and thank goodness for them.
Amen. Yeah, they do. They got a job to do. Everybody's got a job to do. It's just too bad that TSA has to do their job and they're not getting paid for it. And quite a few of them are still calling in sick. The number is still over 400. I haven't heard that number break 500 just yet as far as resignations and just outright quitting, TSA agents, that is. And Andrew Colvette. Not only did ICE fix the wait lines at Atlanta's airport, now leftists are coming to protest them. Okay, yeah, of course, because they're leftists. I mean, they just want to burn everything into the ground. That's all they're good for. This is an important microcosm of modern America. Democrats screw things up. We try to fix it. Leftists protest you trying to fix the problem they created. They hate you, and they want you to suffer. Yeah, it sounds about right.
Finally, we can take a deep breath here. The numbers have dropped off. The lines are getting shorter. I think the average wait time now is under 40 minutes. So if you have a flight to catch today, it's a good time to come to Hartsfield-Jackson International. Talking about those ICE agents,
you darn
can see a few behind me right there. And then I'm going to walk you this direction, and you can see some more of them gathered over here. This is what they've been doing for the most part today, is doing the patrols around the airport, talking and gathering. Not really helping the public in the sense of they're not taking tickets from anybody. They're not interacting with the public.
Yeah, they're ripping children from their families, tackling illegal immigrants.
Checkpoints, they're not doing that as well. So the big question is, what have they been doing mostly? Well, it's been providing perimeter security, as you can see over here. If we come back this direction, there's also a contingent of officers over here. And the reason why is what we're being told is there's a protest scheduled against ICE here at the airport in the next 2 hours or so. So now you have extra police officers from the Atlanta Police Department ready to respond to what may happen when protesters arrive. And we've been told they actually applied for a permit. So now you're bringing all these people, surging them into one area. This is where the lines have been long throughout the day. The lines now are gone. So that's a good news, whether it's the north, the south terminals,
yeah, but
or
the
even the main
CEO of
checkpoint,
the airport, because there is one, can't they just deny them entry?
Minutes, which is fantastic. That's after Sunday when it was more than 5 hours and we saw lines stretch outside the building. When we arrived here at 6 a.m. this morning, there were thousands of people trying to get through the airport. We talked to several people who we just checked through to try to see how long it would take them. Average wait time was over 2 hours. Woo. And right now, the airport GM is actually telling us they believe the numbers are about a 30% call out. And now we've talked to TSA steward who tells us, look, they believe things could get better, but they want to get paid sometime soon.
Well, see, that's the problem. Even if the lines are non-existent, they're still not getting paid. So that's not solving the underlying problem. It certainly makes passengers' lives easier. And of course, now they know who to thank, not only ICE, but also the Trump administration. So anyway, yeah, I've got Popeyes locally. I've just never had Popeye. I never had Church's Chicken either. And I have no reason. I've only heard good things about them. I just, for whatever reason, I just haven't lived close enough to one, haven't crossed my path, Just the stars haven't lined up in the right way yet for me to try them. And I don't know, every time I see Popeyes, I always think of little Nicky from the Adam Sandler. Popeye's chicken's fucking awesome. Andrew Colvett, ICE just fixed Atlanta airport in a matter of hours.
Finally, we can take a deep breath here. The numbers have dropped off. The lines are getting shorter. I think the average wait time now is under 40 minutes. So if you have a flight to catch today, it's a good time to come to Hartsfield-Jackson International.
Way better time. Definitely a better time. And I feel bad for anybody who wanted to get I don't know if it's a jump start on spring break. I'm sure spring break is just in we're getting close to the end of March. So I'm sure that we're like well into spring break, probably starting to get over the halfway point of spring break. So as far as anybody leaving to go on spring break, probably not a whole lot of people left, but what do I know? I don't know. I haven't been in school in forever. And I just know that March, typically the time for spring break. Homeland Security, 3-hour lines in Houston. So this was 9 hours ago. It could be a very different story right now. This is just from earlier, about 9:35 in the morning. And I'm assuming Houston was one of those airports where ICE was deployed to because I can only guess that it's a very large airport. Travelers at George Bush Intercontinental Airport are being forced to wait in lines that stretch across 3 floors, wrapping around 4 terminals and starting at the basement level. Democrats must end this chaos and fund DHS. Insane. Oh my God, dude, that's insane, man. Yeah, it looks like that's about where the line started. Ridiculous. Thanks a lot, Democrats. Jenny Taylor. Tom Homan now says ICE will be making arrests at airports as they assist TSA. We're going to arrest criminals going through the airport. We're going to look for human trafficking and trafficking and money smuggling. As a TSA, they should have been doing that all along. Maybe they're only limited as to what they can do. I've always assumed that TSA has the ability to arrest people. I mean, they call them officers. I always consider them to be like agents, like TSA agents or whatever. But anyway, here's Tom Homan on Fox News, who's the border czar.
This week, and he called me and says, let's send ICE to the airport. I thought it was a smart move. And we're filling the holes. The wait lines already dropped. Plus, we're doing a security function at the airports. We're going to arrest criminals going through this airport. We're going to look for human trafficking, sex trafficking, money smuggling. We're going to be at the airports working with our brothers and sisters of TSA. They're our brothers and sisters within DHS. President Trump made a smart move. We're going to keep the airplanes flying. We're going to get the American people to those lines quicker. And we're not going to give up President Trump's promise to American people to make this country safer every day. And that's what we're going to keep doing.
And they did, man. It only took them one day. I don't even think it even took them a full day just to clear out all the lines. They're all cleared out. And yeah, I mean, like, why wouldn't they arrest somebody who's an illegal immigrant trying to get on an airplane? I mean, like, why wouldn't they? I think TSA should have been doing that all along. Homeland Security, Democrats are forcing TSA officers like single mother of 3 Tatiana to work without pay. She is struggling to pay her bills, pay her rent, and afford food for her family. Enough is enough. Democrats must end the DHS shutdown.
To decide between eating meat some days and not eating meat. We've had to decide which car gets gas.
A single mom of 3 who helps take care of her own mother, she faces tough choices without a paycheck.
And you need the money for bills now.
Right. Because by that time that we get that lump sum, the bills start to build up. Then you got fees, past due amounts, and they start adding on late fees.
At work, she's a lead officer.
The uncertainty is just, it's insane. It's sad. They legit ask me, Tatiana, what are we going to do? And I'm like, I don't know.
Some coworkers have already left.
It takes a toll, you know, especially not getting paid, and you're wondering in the back of our minds while we're working, you know, how are we going to feed our kids? How are we going to pay our bills? But in the moment, we're like, all right, we got to do our job.
But for Tatiana, walking away isn't simple. Her mom was a TSA agent for 20 years.
And I was proud of my mom for that.
She's been there since the beginning.
I wanted to make her proud too. Having a government job was supposed to be I did it. But now it doesn't feel that way anymore. It just makes us question and feel unsafe.
What is your message
to
lawmakers on Capitol Hill?
Just pay us what we're owed. Let us do our job.
Yeah, quit using us as political pawns.
And today marks 23 days since Tatiana's last paycheck, though she does stress her thanks to those who have given gift cards and meals in the meantime. Now, at the same time, the Department of Homeland Security tells us that since this partial government shutdown began, more than 400 TSA agents have left the agency altogether.
Yeah, more than 400, somewhere between 400 and 500. I'm hoping that at least she's in contact with whoever it is that she owes money to, credit card companies, the bank, whoever, and informing them that she is a TSA agent. I'm sure that most people probably know by now that TSA is not getting paid. And maybe like for car payments, I know sometimes if you're going through a hardship, they will not completely forgive your next payment, but they'll just tack it on to the end of your loan. And I imagine that they would be doing favors like that for TSA and not penalizing them. At least I would hope so. But God knows how long this is going to go on for. There's only so long that they're going to be able to do that, to the point where they're like, well, look, we've been giving you a break for 3 months now, but something's got to give. At the end of the day, we are a business. So I just hope that everybody's working with TSA. And Senator Gary Peters, 11 times Democrats have tried to open TSA, FEMA, CISA, and the Coast Guard. Republicans have blocked it every time. We must fund these agencies while we negotiate common sense reforms to ICE. So, of course, it's a bunch of gaslighting. The whole fundamental thing, when you strip all the BS away, it's going on way back to February the 14th when Republicans voted yes to fund the Department of Homeland Security. Democrats voted no, and that's why they're not getting paid right now. Why do you keep getting ratio? Because you're a liar and the people know, oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, he got ratio, 250 comments to 127 likes. And anytime that you get more comments than likes, like 99% of the time, it's because a lot more people dislike what you're saying than actually like what you're saying. And I don't know what all people are saying. So just because all of you two-faced lying POS Dem senators are repeating the same nonsense doesn't make it true. Yeah, I mean, they're all just copy-pasting each other's posts for the most part. Can't wait till you retire. I can't name one thing you've ever done in the Senate. Wow. Another lying talking point sent out like Monday morning quarterback for all you losers to repeat. No one believes you. And you and the Dems have attached strings to your bills. Typical Democrats takes a truth, bend it, twist it, embellish it, or omit things. And yeah, so this is apparently the extra things that were attached. Not sure. Is this Grok? It might be Grok that he was asking. So extras in Democrats' bills and CRs beyond the funding, ICE reforms, judicial warrants for entries and arrests, mandatory body cams, visible IDs, no masks, sensitive location bans, U.S. citizen detention ban, use of force policy, independent investigations, ending roving patrols, and detention oversight. Also, permanent ACA enhanced premium tax credit. So they're going to try to attach that. Oh, and they're calling it permanent now. So this whole 3-year extension to the Affordable Care Act tax credits, the subsidies that they tried to pass, which is why they shut down the government back in the fall. Not only are they trying to get that passed again, but they're trying to make it permanent now. At least that's according to Grok. And Medicare, Medicaid extensions. All it is just taking your tax money away and just paying it directly to the insurance companies, basically. That's what they're doing. And it's also masking the true cost of Obamacare. That's what happened when all those subsidies and all those extensions and the tax credits, or whatever the hell you want to call it. Once all of that expired, it actually revealed the real cost of Obamacare, because they've been hiding that number since 2022. Apparently, ICE is doing a great job. Wait times are down to 5 minutes at the airport in Minneapolis and others. Democrats walked right into it. They made ICE look good. Yeah, they certainly did. All right, let's move on. And, okay, so this was from Michael Gold, and this is what Senator John Hickenlooper was responding to. So let me just read this first. I'm pretty sure that I already read this yesterday, but I'll give it another go. So this is in case you missed it. Trump said he would not agree to a deal to fund TSA and end the DHS shutdown unless the Save America Act gets passed. Yeah, because even if they pass everything for the Department of Homeland Security, which the Republicans apparently, they agreed with Democrats that, okay, fine, we'll fund everything except Immigration and Customs Enforcement. And I think CBP was also another one that Democrats don't want to fund. And from my understanding, the Republicans caved in the Senate because that's what they do. They always cave to Democrats. But Trump said, well, I'm not going to sign it. So if you fully pass that in the Senate and you send it to my desk, if it doesn't have ICE, if it's not the entirety of the Department of Homeland Security, as far as funding goes, I'm not going to sign it. So you're just wasting your time because I'm just going to veto it. But anyway, I don't think we should make any deal with the crazy country-destroying radical left Democrats unless and until they vote with Republicans to pass the Save America Act. It is far more important than anything else we are doing in the Senate, and that includes giving these same terrible people, the Democrats who are trying to blame us for this mess, a $5 billion cut in ICE funding, a deal which, even when disguised as something else, is unacceptable to me and the American people unless it includes their approval of voter ID with picture, citizenship to vote, no mail-in voting, with exceptions, all paper ballots, no men and women's sports, and no transgender mutilation of our precious children. Put it all together and also let Leader Thune clearly identify those few Republicans that are voting against America. They will never be elected again. In other words, lump everything together as one and vote. Kill the filibuster and stay in D.C. for Easter if necessary. Make America great again, President DJT. And let's see what Hickenlooper said in response to this on March 23rd, yesterday. Isn't Trump supposed to be some legendary deal maker? He's now saying that he doesn't want to pay TSA workers until MAGA Republicans somehow pass an impossible bill to make it harder for millions of Americans to vote? How does that make sense? Well, that's what he's doing. He's trying to make a deal, and that's what he does. I mean, wasn't like The Art of the Deal, a book that Trump wrote like in the late 70s or something, wasn't on like the New York Times bestseller list for freaking ever. And I mean, look, everybody knows Trump's the deal maker in chief. He's been crushing it, not only during his first term, but obviously in his second term. He's been getting a lot done. And that's exactly what the American people want. They want their representatives and their senators to be making good deals on their behalf, not bad ones. And unfortunately, not enough Republican senators are willing to do so. If they were, then I think they'd be nuking the filibuster because Democrats are going to do that once they retake the Senate, which, as long as history tends to rhyme, I don't want to say repeat because history doesn't exactly repeat, but the pendulum's going to swing back to the left. I mean, maybe not culturally, because I think the pendulum's been swinging to the right for at least a few years at this point. However, history shows Democrats are going to get the Senate back at some point, and when they do, they're going to nuke that filibuster. Speaker Mike Johnson, Democrats would rather make Americans wait in line at the airport than deport criminal illegal aliens. Let that sink in. That's why they refuse to support our law enforcement who keep us safe. Their political games put America last, and it's shameful. Democrats shutdown plan, unleash this to bring back this. Of course, because that's exactly what they're going to do. If Democrats get the House, the Senate, and the Oval Office back, there's no question in my mind, and anybody else who's been paying attention for a number of years, that they will reopen the borders again. They're going to reopen them fully. And all this hard work that the Trump administration's been doing for years, including ICE, when it's all said and done, it will be years. They're just going to reopen the border. And they're just going to let everybody flood in while pretending that they have no idea what anybody's talking about. We don't know what you're talking about. The border's secure. All right, RNC Research. Democrats are once again putting illegal aliens before the American people, and now hardworking Americans can't afford to show up to work. DHS shutdowns impact on TSA. So according to CNN, they're up to 450 resignations, with more coming in by the day. So that's how many TSA agents have quit so far, and 3,200 of them have called out on Monday. As of yesterday, I'm assuming that number is probably only going to get bigger. Thousands of TSA callouts happening daily as the shutdown drags on. Well, as long as Immigration and Customs Enforcement's in the airport, which I'm sure they're going to be there for a while, I don't think that passengers are going to have to worry about crazy long lines, at least hopefully not. Nick Sorter, just in, border czar Tom Homan is going hard after Democrats for refusing to fund DHS. And then we've got a quote, so we'll just hear him say the quote.
Why would any member of Congress defund the Transportation Security Administration that protects our skies? Why would they defund Coast Guard? Why would they defund CISA against cyber attacks? Why would they defund FEMA?
Put illegals above Americans.
You're talking about not funding the Department of Homeland Security, which is their number one responsibility as a representative in Congress to protect this country. And they're voting not to protect this country. And look, Donald Trump made a brilliant move this week, and he called me and says, let's send ICE to the airport. I thought it was a smart move. And we're filling the holes.
Oh, it was a brilliant move.
The wait lines are already
political
dropped.
Move, too.
Plus, we're doing a security function at the airports. We're going to arrest criminals going through this airport. We're going to look for human trafficking, sex trafficking, money smuggling. We're going to be at the airports working with our brothers and sisters of TSA. They're our brothers and sisters within DHS. President Trump made a smart move. We're going to keep the airplanes flying. We're going to get the American people through those lines quicker, and we're not going to give up President Trump's promise to American people to make this country safer every day, and that's what we're going to keep doing.
I mean, look, if somebody's flagged as an illegal immigrant in the airport, TSA is still letting them through? Is that what I'm hearing? Is that what's happening? They're just letting them through? Or people that have suitcases full of cash, like what we saw in Minneapolis, Minnesota with Somalis, sending suitcases, millions of dollars per week out of the Minneapolis airport, heading out to Somalia to fund terrorism. It's absolutely insane. Secretary Sean Duffy, if you need another reminder of why DHS should be funded, listen to NTSB talk about the consequences of the shutdown. And the NTSB investigates aviation accidents and significant events in railroad, transit, highway, marine, pipeline, and commercial space. Anytime there's a plane crash, the NTSB, they're the folks that investigate it.
We have LaGuardia that was shut down. We had a ground stop at Newark today. And then we have DHS that shut down, and we have long TSA lines. We have our air traffic control specialist who was in line with TSA for 3 hours until we called in Houston to beg to see if we can get her through so we can get her here. So it's been a really big challenge to get the entire team here, and they're still arriving as I speak.
Wow, man, not even the federal government's doing favors for each other. They're stuck in the long lines. Freaking everybody's stuck in the long lines. Oh, of course, unless you're a senator, as I showed last week on the Swamp, that they were letting senators walk right past security. They didn't even have to stop at all. They even had an escort from the airport, and they were showing Democrat senators walking right through. Couldn't even look TSA in the eye, because of course they can't. Of course they can't look at him in the eye. One of them was pretending to be on her phone as she walked by. Dr. Roger Marshall, after 9/11, we learned Homeland Security depends on every layer working together. Democrats must vote to fund the entire agency for the safety of American lives.
All this is no excuse for the Democrats not funding DHS, that they took 30 days to sit down with Republicans and discuss DHS funding, and then after 2 meetings, Thursday, Friday, they...
look at this shit. Senator Blumenthal, ICE will shoot and even kill people at airports. I wasn't making that up.
They had to go home. Meanwhile, TSA is not being paid. It took them 18 days to respond to President Trump's offer as well. So they're not serious about it. I'm grateful for the ICE officers being there. They'll help control who's coming and who's leaving those airports. It's certainly going to make the airports safer, but what would really make us safe is funding the TSA. The way DHS works is in layers. You go back to September 11th, and what we did is we took 22 agencies, we brought them together, so it's a layered approach to our Homeland Security. And right now, we've got the TSA part of this is that link is really broken right now.
Yeah, that's where the Department of Homeland Security came from, is post 9/11. And if I'm not mistaken, TSA was formed right after 9/11. They just brought all of these different entities, these agencies, all under one umbrella. Senator Ted Cruz, due to the Democrats' shutdown, I've asked the financial clerk of the Senate to hold my salary. It's not right for members of Congress to be paid if the working men and women of DHS aren't. So he has this letter with the letterhead from the U.S. Senate, March 24th, 2026. Mr. Ted Ruckner, who is the financial clerk of the Senate, U.S. Senate Disbursing Office. And he says, Mr. Ruckner, for the remainder of the current partial lapse in appropriations, please hold my salary check for pickup in the Disbursing Office. It's not right for members of Congress to be paid during a partial shutdown if the working men and women of the Department of Homeland Security aren't. Thank you for your attention to this request. From Ted Cruz. Senator Dick Durbin, Kristi Noem's legacy will be a failure. She slipped on ice. Ha ha ha. I'm convinced that Senator Mullin has the knowledge, the skill, or the right advisors to rein in ICE abuses and say no to Donald Trump's anti-immigration instincts. I voted no. And you could try to look through anybody and everybody. You could pick the most qualified person. Frankly, I'm surprised that they didn't tab Tom Homan to just head up the Department of Homeland Security. I figured he was going to be the runner-up. It doesn't matter who it was. If they were the most qualified person on the planet to head up the Department of Homeland Security, he was going to vote no matter what. And we all know it. All these Democrats, no matter who it was, they're going to vote no because at this point, they just want to shut down the Department of Homeland Security because they don't care about security anymore. Tom Emmer as DHS Secretary. Senator Mullin is going to continue to carry out the president's successful Homeland Security mission with renewed determination. With Mullin at the helm, we will continue to make America safe again by keeping our borders secure, getting violent illegals out of our communities, and ensuring our nation is prepared against all types of threats. Confirmed. Markwayne Mullin has officially been confirmed by the Senate as Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security. It is official. And there he is with President Trump confirmed Markwayne Mullin as Secretary of DHS. There we go. So much winning. So much winning. You get tired of it? All this freaking winning? I think Markwayne Mullin's he's going to do a pretty good job. I don't know him all that well. I don't follow his track record. I'm not from Oklahoma. So not really sure like what his history is in the Senate. All I know is that he's an America First senator. And when he gave his opening statement during his confirmation, he didn't even look down at a piece of paper for a second. He just said it all either from memory or from the heart or both. Senate confirms Markwayne Mullin as DHS Secretary. It's from Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt. This is going to be on Breitbart. And it says President Trump's pick, Senator Markwayne Mullin, was confirmed in a 54-45 vote. So obviously split along party lines by the U.S. Senate on Monday night to serve as the next Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security. Fox News' Bill Melugin reported in a post on X that the only Republican to oppose Mullin's confirmation to lead DHS was Senator Rand Paul. No surprise there. While Senators John Fetterman and Martin Heinrich voted in favor. And there's this post that they're alluding to. Applause and cheers break out. The only Republican that had no vote was Rand Paul. The only two Democrats, Fetterman and Heinrich, confirm Markwayne Mullin, make America safe again. That's from the GOP. Mullin's confirmation comes after Trump announced in early March that he had picked Mullin to replace Kristi Noem as DHS Secretary. In a post to Truth Social at the time, Trump explained that Noem would be moving to a special envoy for the Shield of the Americas. Trump added that Mullin, who had served 10 years in the U.S. House of Representatives and 3 in the Senate, has done a tremendous job. In response to Trump selecting him to lead DHS, Mullin expressed that he was grateful to Trump for nominating him for the position. Quote, I am grateful to President Trump for nominating me to lead the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, which he wrote on X. I look forward to earning the support of my colleagues in the Senate and carrying out President Trump's mission alongside the department's many capable agencies and the thousands of patriots who keep us safe every day. And that is that for that article. So he is confirmed. We now have someone heading up the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, and that man is Markwayne Mullin. Reverend Jordan Wells, breaking ICE, is now arresting over 1,100 people per day nationwide in 2026. That's nearly double the 600 per day rate from last spring. Mass deportations are in full swing. This is the fastest pace ever. And the source is the New York Times Data Review. And not a video for this one, just an image of them arresting an illegal immigrant. And Bill Melugin, a Mexican illegal alien, has been charged with attempted murder in Salt Lake City after police said he strangled a woman, then slit her throat and left her to die. He entered the U.S. illegally as a getaway in an unknown time and location. I think that most of us would probably just take a wild stab in the dark, no pun intended, that it was during the Biden administration when he slipped right through. Or he just flew in under the cover of darkness, just like countless thousands of other immigrants did under the Biden administration, flew him right into our airports, and then just let him right out into the country from all over the world. And it says ICE urges Utah politicians to not release Mexican illegal charged for slitting woman's throat in Salt Lake City. And let me size this up a bit. This is on borderhawk.news. And it says, oh man, dude, that's a huge banner. Good grief. It's annoying. I try to make the text large enough so if anybody's watching this on like their phone or whatever, if they want to follow along. The horrific attack unfolded on March 18th in Salt Lake City, as we previously reported. Police responded to reports of a woman crying and moaning in an alley and found the victim a short time later. Surveillance footage reportedly showed the victim trapped under a wheelbarrow before emerging and stumbling through the alley in apparent physical distress. Investigators identified a suspect, and 30-year-old Jesus Alejandro Ramirez Padilla was taken into custody a short time later. Ramirez Padilla reportedly told authorities he and the woman smoked meth together and admitted he had been having thoughts of killing someone, and today he decided that he was going to kill the woman. let's see, Jesus, I almost said Jesus. I was like, wait a minute. Jesus, he said he strangled the woman from behind while they were both standing until she became unconscious and fell to the ground. Once on the ground, Jesus placed his hands around her neck and continued choking her. Jesus says he wanted to take the woman out of her misery and then use a blade to cut her throat 2 or 3 times. Jesus told detectives he intended to kill the woman. Jesus told detectives his state of mind was altered from ingesting drugs, an arrest affidavit said. The victim was rushed to a hospital in critical but unstable condition. Ramirez Padilla was charged with attempted murder, obstruction of justice, aggravated assault, and use or possession of drug paraphernalia, and is currently being held at the Salt Lake City jail. And so that was from Border Hawk. But anyway, if you want to read the rest of that, I'll have that linked below. Absolutely insane. Just another illegal immigrant viciously attacking and trying to kill another American citizen, and not a single Democrat is going to say one effing word about it. You're not going to see any of that on MS Now or DNC, whatever the hell, CNN, all the other ones, ABC, NBC. Nobody's going to talk about that. Nobody. Congressman Gabe Evans, 1 year ago, Denver's mayor admitted that they don't track the immigration status of homicide suspects. Mayor Mike Johnston refusing to ask, refusing to know, refusing to cooperate. Instead of working with ICE and federal law enforcement, city leaders continue protecting offenders over Coloradans. Of course they are.
Do you know how many of those 65 to 71 homicides were committed by people illegally present in the country? And I'm happy to show all of the sources for my facts.
We don't ask anyone's status at point of arrest. We do not know someone's status.
Wow. Why? Effing why, dude? Isn't that what you get paid for? Supposed to be representing the people of your state. Dapper detective breaking illegal alien harbored under Colorado sanctuary laws, AR'd a child, was convicted and then released on bail prior to sentencing. Then he fled into Mexico and he was finally just caught. Democrats will do anything to shield their unvetted illegal alien pedos from ICE, which is brutally insane, man. This is insane. Clown world we live in.
Is now back in custody. Prosecutors say 45-year-old Jorge Campos ran off before his day in court on Friday. Our Dan Grossman joins us tonight.
And Dan, it was a team of media as well as viewers who saw this story and law enforcement who were all able to put Campos behind bars.
Yeah, so the only reason that Campos is back in custody is because someone saw our Denver area coverage of this case and then called in when they saw him at a bus stop in southeastern New Mexico. So that is when authorities showed up and they arrested Campos at an Allsup gas station. It is in a tiny town around 20 minutes from the Mexico border. I'll get to the whirlwind of events that led them to Campos in just a second, but I do want to touch on that verdict that you mentioned. Today, District Attorney George Brockler referred to Campos as an animal who deserves to be caged at a press conference in Douglas County. His office prosecuted the case that found Campos repeatedly sexually assaulted his girlfriend's daughter at their home in Castle Rock between 2021 and 2023. He says he thinks Campos was somehow tipped off to the verdict and then ran away before that viewer called this in. Just listen to Brockler's explanation of this 10-hour journey Campos made to get to Mexico when I spoke with him earlier today.
Douglas County Sheriff has a deputy embedded with the U.S. Marshal's office, and these men and women went nuts trying to track this guy down. And I'm talking, they're generating warrants at 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning. They're trying to
let the asshole out in the first place.
And they were in a position when that Good Samaritan finally provided that tip. All that great effort might have turned into nothing except your coverage and a tipster. Combined with all those law enforcement efforts, they were in a position to swoop down and grab this guy up. It was tremendous.
No thanks to Democrats for letting this asshole out.
Campos was in the U.S.
Democrat-aligned judges.
Out to ICE, and they confirmed that, saying he's from Mexico.
Of course. So yeah, I probably didn't fly in under the cover of darkness. He probably just snuck in from Mexico. I mean, Occam's razor. All right, Steve Scalise. Democrats are finally saying it out loud. The people they care about the most are illegal aliens, not American citizens. While Democrats are fighting for illegals, Republicans are fighting for you. At least to some extent. Not all Republicans. I mean, a lot of them aren't fighting for you. They're fighting for, other interests. But it seems like most of them, they're doing the job that they can do, I guess. And wokeness, Senator Chris Murphy, the people we care about most, the undocumented migrants. He actually said that?
The negotiation didn't have a path to citizenship. It was entirely on their terms in order to get Ukraine funding, right?
Well, I mean, Chris, that's been a failed play for 20 years. So you are right that has been the Democratic strategy for 30 years, maybe. And it has failed to deliver for the people we care about most, the undocumented Americans that are in this country.
Wow. He did say that, didn't he? And he didn't even try to correct himself. I think he was just straight up about it. I mean, that's really what's on their mind. I mean, they care about the poor undocumented American migrants. That's what they care about more than actual American citizens who they're supposed to be serving. And, like we pay freaking taxpayers pay their paychecks. And I don't know, man. It's just kind of at a loss for words of just how absolutely brutally insane freaking Democrats have gone in such a short amount of time, man. It wasn't even all that long ago where they were, they're all kind of loony, but just ever since Trump came along, man, their brains just completely shattered. Just absolute, just brutal insanity. And just for them to be able to get any votes right now, like the only people that, in my opinion, that would have to be able to vote for Democrats today are just extremely low informed, low IQ, college graduates. That's probably probably 90% of the people who vote Democrat these days. Libs of TikTok. Holy crap. Hakeem Jeffries says he isn't sure that the illegal who murdered an 18-year-old Sheridan Gorman in Chicago should be deported. Are you serious?
An illegal immigrant has been charged with murdering a college student in Chicago last week. Do House Democrats believe if he's convicted, he's someone who should be deported?
I'll look into the case.
Do you expect any...
Okay. I'll look into it. He can't say a flat out no. Illegal immigrant who murdered somebody, should he be deported? That should be a resounding hell no. But this is Hakeem Jeffries, Timu Obama. The Democrats would expect nothing less or more. Fox News exclusive. Fox News cameras captured a moment a Florida transportation official pulls a big rig trucker out of service after the driver struggles to understand English and read road signs. Florida's DOT is making a major push to enforce commercial licensing rules after several deadly crashes involving illegal immigrants. This comes as Florida troopers reveal a shocking statistic. Get a load of this. Nearly 50% of truckers pulled over on one major highway do not speak English. And that's here in Florida, man, the great red state, the great free state of Florida. Still happen. If it's happening here, man, it's happening all over the country.
Can you say it in English what that means? What does it mean? How good is your English? Can you speak any English? No. Don't speak no English.
No English.
What does that mean?
Yes.
What does it mean?
No.
What does it mean when you go down, you see the sign? What does that mean? What do you have to do?
No.
Okay.
40 años troquero.
Unreal.
Desde Cuba.
Okay. If you don't speak enough English to be operating
no bueno.
a motor vehicle, okay? You also don't have enough knowledge of the signs to say it, okay? So this right now you're gonna be placed out of service, okay?
Oh, immediately placed out of service. Old Trooper had 2 smartphones on him, man. Assuming he's probably using one as a body camera. Smart move. I'm surprised that state troopers in Florida don't have body cams for every single one of them. I don't know. Maybe he left his at home or something. Mark Lynch for U.S. Senate. Breaking: U.S. Senate will continue its Easter recess as scheduled and will not pass the SAVE Act. What else is new? And it's frankly pretty disappointing because there were Senate Republicans that were trying to get John Thune to cancel the recess, keep Republicans in the Senate, and just let the Democrats go off and do whatever they want to do, because we know they're not celebrating Easter, for crying out loud. But it would send a good message, a positive message to the American people that Republicans are still working to get the SAVE Act passed, while Democrats just don't give a shit, because they don't. This is disgraceful. Securing our elections is not a trivial matter and should not be handled immediately, and should be handled immediately. Should be handled immediately. 80% of Americans support common sense election safeguards, like those included in the Save America Act.
I have to remember the last time this process was used goes back to 1964 with the Voting Rights Act. It took 60 days before there finally was a bipartisan agreement.
Implemented
Mike
inside that act.
The Democrat senator from Montana was part of that negotiation when they finally got 71 votes in the U.S. Senate to get that passed. But what happened yesterday at the White House was extraordinary. I got to give tremendous credit to President Trump and his team. The president saw what was going to happen right now at this moment in history a year ago when we put in an extra $150 billion in the Homeland Security budget as part of the reconciliation package a year ago, anticipating the insanity and the craziness of the far left. We want to defund police, defund DHS, defund ICE, and completely go back to open borders. And so because we have those extra funds, we're able now to craft a deal that will allow us to open DHS back up in totality, fund the TSA agents, and make sure that the flying public now is not having to wait 4, 5, 6 hours in airports. As we take a look at these images of airports around the country, it looks like a Walmart on a Black Friday with these huge lines.
Dude, even worse
this
than
is
that, man.
nonsense.
It's like the worst day at Disney World.
Now 14
Universal
times
Studios.
in
Pick
the
your theme
last
park.
39 days.
Right.
It's time to end the nonsense, and that's the agreement we got with President Trump last night.
All right. So, yesterday the president was saying that he wanted you all to hold up passage of finding some way to resolve this DHS bill unless you also had a plan for passage of the SAVE Act. Is that done? That discussion?
No, it's not. So
obviously
not.
not.
So here's what we discussed with the president. It's a two-track approach. Number one, let's stop this nonsense with ICE and TSA and get people back on the job. So that's step one to solve this week's problem. It's a parallel path now to continue to work on the SAVE Act that both Democrats and Republican voters widely support. It's just Chuck Schumer and the crazy left that's opposed to it. So what we'll do is we'll continue to battle on the floor. Mike Lee's been leading that effort on the floor. Again, as I said, it took 60 days the last time this process was tried back in 1964. But additionally, we're going to move forward with another budgeting, it's called reconciliation process, that will add additional financial resources to support both ICE and Tom Homan and Secretary Markwayne Mullin, a great pick for DHS, and enhance the ability to help on SAVE by putting financial incentives. So I think about it as SAVE Plus. It's going to be not only changing the way the laws work in terms of voter ID, but putting financial incentives to stop some of the nonsense that goes on.
I just want to make sure that I understand you. So you're saying that there will be a reconciliation bill that will tie money and tax issues to the SAVE Act, and will it in fact mean that there's a national legislation that insists that all states insist on voter ID for voting? Is that what you're talking about, or something short of that?
Yeah, you can't pass a pure voter ID law only using reconciliation. You can put incentives, financial incentive to discourage voter fraud. We can do that. But this will be in addition to what Mike Lee is working on the floor. This fight doesn't end. We continue that battle on the floor. Again, it took 60 days the last time this process was used to get bipartisan consensus, to get to 60 votes to actually get a law passed.
So you talked about how long it took to do the Voting Rights Act, and you heard Chad Pergam's question there. Is there no GOP senator who's willing to go to the floor and do that filibuster to commit to this SAVE Act?
Well, we've had this battle now for 2 weeks. This is going to continue after we get back, after the Easter break. And this fight continues.
It's ridiculous,
the last time they did this, again, it was 60 days. I think this battle will continue. We're going to have the Democrats agreeing with
going to magically pass after 60 days, I guess.
Who overwhelmingly support voter ID. To realize in many
states
that Democrats currently serve from, like New Hampshire, they have voter ID laws and citizen laws. This is just common sense.
All right. It's a sticky wicket, as we say. Thank you very much.
Yeah. I don't even think anything's really going to happen. I mean, the Republicans, I think they're just going to let us all down yet again. And again and again. It's really sad. Look, if there's anything that would be worth nuking the filibuster over, it would be this, wouldn't it? Our freaking securing our elections and making sure that everybody's a U.S. citizen and everybody's alive, and we don't have dead people voting, and we don't have the same people voting over and over and over again and having their ballots harvested in blue states. Whatever. All right, Eric Daugherty, breaking Democrat Senator Cory Booker just raged that the Save America Act would shrink the voting rolls by 5 to 10%. No shit they would. Holy crap, really? Did he admit 10% of our voters are illegal aliens? This is massively overdue. Pass the Save America Act right now.
Trump's usual bluster. He has again made this grand statement. I'm not going to sign any bill that comes to me unless the SAVE Act comes to me first. The SAVE Act is a massive voter suppression bill.
Holy shit, that's loud. I'm sorry.
Make it very difficult for millions of Americans, especially women who have changed their name on their birth certificate, no longer matches the name on their real ID or driver.
Doesn't matter. That's up to the blue states to bridge that gap, because the Save America Act doesn't stipulate that your name has to match your birth certificate with your current name or your driver's license. That is entirely up to the blue states. If they want to add show your marriage certificate with your birth certificate, that would be fully acceptable. That's up to the states to decide.
It would cause chaos to voting and really shrink the voting rolls 5 or 10%. Given the effect
get rid of illegals.
I was talking to a retired, very moderate senator yesterday. We were both laughing. Democrats should just be quiet and let somebody like Lisa Murkowski, who did a big chart, big state of Alaska she put up in her speech and just showed what the SAVE Act would do to voters, making them have to hop on planes, fly across her state, which is pretty vast.
Again, it's up to the states to decide how they want to implement that. All they have to do is prove that they're a U.S. citizen, as well as proving or showing at least birth certificate or passport. How they do that, it's up to the state to decide. If they want them to show up in person, even if they want to do it somehow remotely, I'm sure that the state could figure that out, especially in a state like Alaska.
To be able to present identification at the right place. We do not need voter suppression in the United States of America, and we do not need another.
We don't need illegals and dead people voting.
Trump,
that's what we don't need.
Who's still litigating his 2020 loss. Another scheme by him that would make it more difficult for American citizens to vote at the polls.
Well, there was definitely election meddling that was happening in 2020. The number one thing that always comes to my mind that I always bring up is in Philadelphia, one of the counting centers in Philadelphia, they kicked out their Republican poll watchers, and then they locked the doors, and then they put up brown paper over all the windows from the inside so nobody can see. Now, why would they do that? If everything was on the up and up, it's because they were engaging in fucking funny business. That's why. Rep. Claudia Tenney. Democrats say voter suppression. The facts say otherwise. The Save America Act secures our elections and ensures only citizens vote. Democrat lie versus fact. Save America Act. The Democrat lies. This is a voter suppression bill. Married women will not be able to vote. No illegal voting happens. This is Jim Crow 2.0, which is I'm not, I didn't ace history class, but I'm pretty sure Jim Crow was all Democrats, wasn't it? The facts are that it requires proof of U.S. citizenship to vote in federal elections. States already verify identity in multiple ways, which they do. Non-citizens have been found on voter rolls, and voter ID is overwhelmingly popular, which it is. Amuse, Save Act. Sometimes it feels like Senator Lee is the only one fighting for us on the Hill. And Senator Mike Lee says, this is a lie. Read the damn bill. The text beginning on page 12, line 22, makes abundantly clear that what you're saying isn't true. Why can't Senate Democrats argue against this bill without lying? Because they can't. They're incapable of being able to argue against the Save America Act without blatantly gaslighting and lying. Tammy Duckworth, under the SAVE Act, you cannot use your driver's license to register to vote. Republicans want you to buy a passport instead if you can afford one. This is a modern-day poll tax. Nope, absolutely untrue. And I've also said this before, assuming that the states could implement this also. If you make below a certain threshold of income, and if you don't have your birth certificate for whatever reason, they should waive the fee in that state. That way it'll just make it that much easier to prove that you're a U.S. citizen. I'm not sure if any states are thinking about that, but they should be. Western Lensman Joe Scarborough claims because Mika doesn't know where her original birth certificate is, which I think is complete and total bullshit. I mean, look, like I cannot imagine less than, let's say, 80% of Americans don't have their birth certificate or know where they are. Everybody's got a box, or they've got a location in their house where they keep all their important documents, the title of their car, their tax statements, the W-2s, anything else that's pertinent to you. You've got it all saved in the same spot. I mean, some people, they even go a step further and they put it in a safety deposit box. But anyway, that's not true. MS Now is pushing blatant disinformation to demagogue this legislation.
Not only does Mika not know where her original birth certificate is, which under the SAVE Act would get her kicked off the voters' rolls.
Oh, but Joe Scarborough, you know where yours is, right? She doesn't know where it is because she's just a lowly woman.
That she could not vote. Not only does Mika
she can't think for herself. Of course she lost her birth certificate. Typical woman. All right, Amuse, Save Act. Mika Brzezinski was born in New York City. If she really lost her birth certificate, she can get a copy online or even the same day. This is true for all Democrats who seem to have lost everything. Yeah, isn't that convenient that all these Democrats just magically can't find their birth certificate all of a sudden? Yeah, okay. Eric Daugherty, breaking the U.S. Senate, just confirmed President Trump's anti-fraud Assistant Attorney General Colin McDonald 52-47, again, along party lines. He's now officially prepared to barnstorm America under fraud czar J. J.D. Vance and crank up the fraud prosecutions. Let's effing go. Deport the foreign pirates. And this is just the roll call. Always in silence until they yell out the numbers.
The yeas are 52, the nays are 47. The nomination is confirmed.
Confirmed. And here we go. Start going after all that fraud, man. It's not just in Minnesota. It's not just in California, man. It's all over the place. I'm sure it's also even in red states, too. Everything Georgia. Georgia passed a law making it a crime to block streets during protests, with penalties of up to a year in jail, $5,000 in fines, and potential civil lawsuits. Critics warn it could stop people from taking part in peaceful demonstrations. Well, don't block the damn road. That's all you have to do. Look, they're actually being a lot easier on protests than in my state. In my state in Florida, you can just drive right through them. At least if they lay a finger on your vehicle. I mean, you can't just start swerving toward protesters. You know, they have to pose some sort of a threat to you and or your vehicle in order to do so. However, that is the law. If they touch your vehicle, you can just run right through. Make sure they get the hell out of the way. That's why we don't have a bunch of protesters blocking streets here in my state. U.S. Doge Service. I don't know if they changed their name or if this is a new account. Here, I think they actually have the date. Do they have a date? Yeah, joined January of 2015. Really? 2015? Makes me wonder if it was an old account and they just recently changed the name or something. I don't know. Has there been a U.S. Doge service going all the way back to 2015? I somehow doubt it. But anyway, they say, ready or not, here we come. And they're responding to CBS News. Congress launches investigation into California hospice fraud, citing millions in taxpayer losses. So be found on cbsnews.com. Congress launches investigation into California hospice fraud, citing millions in taxpayer losses, probably over $1 billion, frankly. House Republicans announced Monday that Congress will mount an investigation into rampant hospice fraud, alleging that potentially tens of millions in taxpayer funds may have been lost in improper payments to Southern California companies. It's got to be way over that, man. It's got to be at least in the hundreds of millions. At least going off of what Dr. Oz had been investigating and what he's discovered, he found hundreds of these facilities with a 95% discharge rate. And if you're familiar with hospice, that's kind of a high number of those who get discharged. I think on the national average for hospice discharges while you're still alive has got to be like in the single digits, I would imagine. The Republican-led House Oversight Committee, which has the authority to investigate, has sent a letter to California's Democratic Governor Gavin Newsom, asking for documents related to the state's oversight and internal controls to detect and prevent fraud for its federally funded hospice programs. Recent reporting has revealed alarming evidence of fraudulent activity in California's hospice programs, including agencies overbilling Medicare and fraudulently enrolling beneficiaries without their knowledge, committee members wrote, citing a recent CBS News investigation. The CBS News report examined business and financial records of every hospice currently operating in Los Angeles County, looking for the warning signs that a 2022 state audit identified as potential indicators of fraud. Looks like they've got a link to the potential indicators of fraud. Did that just go to YouTube? Yeah, man, that went over to YouTube. Look, it's 5 minutes. It's a little bit longer, but what I'll do, I'll post this, and I'll also post the title too, so you know if you by any chance want to have a look at that. And let's go back to this. The CBS News analysis revealed that over 700 of the roughly 1,800 hospices in LA County triggered multiple red flags for fraud as defined by the state. Hospice facilities, not fatalities, dude, I can't read for shit today. Facilities by number of fraud indicators. More than 700 of the nearly 1,800 hospice facilities in Los Angeles County have 3 or more flags the state has outlined as indicators of fraud. The graph below shows how many facilities have each number of indicators. And they got 0, 1, 2, 3, so on and so forth. And they've got the numbers on the bar graph describing that. Rachel Gold and Grace Manthly, CBS News, source California state licensing records and the federal CMS hospice database. Quote, the committee is concerned your administration does not have sufficient internal controls to prevent and detect fraud and is not conducting proper oversight of these hospice programs, the letter to Newsom states. As a result, Americans across the country are paying for California's rampant hospice fraud and vulnerable patients are being exploited. A spokesperson for Newsom wrote in a statement, California took decisive action on hospice fraud years ago. Evidently, they're not anymore. In 2021, Governor Newsom signed legislation placing a moratorium on new hospice licenses, a policy that remains in effect today, preventing bad actors from entering the system while strengthening oversight of existing providers. Well, if that's the case, then how are they still able to defraud in the amount of tens of millions of dollars per year? Many voters are bombarded constantly with these political football games from Republicans, said Debbie Mercarsel Powell, a former Democrat member of Congress from Florida who now serves as executive director of George Washington University's Graduate School of Political Management. This reality is that for most Americans, the cost of living continues to go up, and they're not seeing any sort of relief from either party in this moment. She said Republican elected officials and an army of social media influencers have seized on the issue of fraud as politically potent, accusing Democratic state executives of failing to prevent costly schemes, most notably in Minnesota, where feeding our future pandemic relief scam cost taxpayers hundreds of millions of dollars. Minnesota's Democratic Governor Tim Walz announced in January that he would no longer seek re-election amid fallout from the scandal. I'm sure they play catch up for the rest of the article, and we'll go ahead and move on to the next one. See what else we got. BRICS news just in. Russia urges Iran to end hostilities immediately and move toward diplomatic resolution. Okay. Of course, they don't follow that up with any sources, any details. BRICS news, they like to throw these just random posts. I'm not even sure if I'm really going to cover BRICS news a whole lot because they don't really follow it up with any sources. So, I mean, and the couple of times that I've checked to verify if that's true, it's turned out to not be true. So Liza Rosen, days before the war, senior Islamic regime Ayatollah in Iran has issued an Islamic ruling to behead any Iranian who goes around saying they're not a Muslim. Quote, "We will kill you and we will kill you good." Is it Islamophobic to share their own words? I don't know. They would say yeah, probably.
مسلمونی میخوای بری بی دین شی به جهنم مردشو رو خودت ببرن و دینداری تو سر به تنت نباشه اما اگه تو میخوای بیایی علنی کنی جار بزنی توطئه کنی دو دور را بندازی توی کوچه خیابون نه ما همچه اجازه به تو نمیدیم
I'll get better at it. I know there's a way to do it. I just can't figure it out right now.
برو کافر شو تو خونه در غلطی میخوای بکنی بکن تو و 4 نفر دیگه مثل تو بیان مسلمون بشن باز فردا از دین برگردن بعد بیان تو خیابون دار بزنن بعد نمیدونم فلان کنن بعد داستان بندازن
Got it.
و بعد کل دین را و اسلام را و قرآن را و شریعت رو بخوان زیر سوال ببرن نه ما همچی اجازه به تو نمیدیم.
Okay, well they did say that at the end. I mean, my apologies, I didn't follow every single word that they said. I was trying to get my freaking my view down up away from the subtitles. All right. Yeah, man, they're all freaking lunatics over there. All right, Chris Murphy, in a few minutes, I'm heading to the Senate floor to force a vote tonight to end the war in Iran. If Republicans won't hold a debate and vote on this illegal and completely run war, then Democrats will. I will be joined on the floor by my Senate allies in this fight. Yeah, in other words, they're trying to take away from the Save America Act and ICE and TSA and, I mean, the Department of Homeland Security in general. I think that's the only reason that they're employing these tactics. He doesn't give a shit about the conflict in Iran. All he wants to do is just do political posturing and a bunch of BS on the floor.
So this is my
distractions
office in the basement of the Capitol. In a few minutes, I'm going to head upstairs to the Senate floor, and I'm going to force a vote to end the Iran war. We have this right as senators to bring at any time
Good luck with that.
What's called a war powers resolution before the Senate and force a vote. And it simply says the president does not have the authority to engage in war with Iran.
Yeah, but he does. He's commander-in-chief.
And it requires him to end operations. This is increasingly important because this war is spiraling out of control. The cost of plastic
it's actually doing the opposite.
Doubled. Prices at the pump are
actually very much in control.
Hormuz is still shut down.
Prices aren't as near as high as they were under Biden.
In the region, we've had 12 Americans killed, $2 billion being spent a day, and for what? The regime.
Dude, the military probably spends that much
worse for American
every day,
now than before the war
regardless of
started.
conflict.
We're not going to be able to get rid of Iran's nuclear program or their missile program or
I think
their
we already did.
Drone program.
More than once.
This is all just a giant waste of money and a giant cost shift to American taxpayers and to companies here in the United States.
You smell that?
I don't know that I'm going to win
Smells
this
like
vote
gaslighting.
because I think almost every Republican is going to vote against this motion, but we need you to be debating the Iran war. We need to be voting on the floor of the Senate. I'm going to be joined by a bunch of my colleagues that are going to help me make this motion.
Whatever, dude. Yeah, we need you down there debating on the House floor or Senate floor. Senator Marco Rubio, earlier this month, I met with Molly, Amy, and Patty as they asked for help freeing their brother, Dennis Coyle, from detention in Afghanistan. Today, Dennis is on his way home. We thank the UAE and Qatar for their support. The release is a positive step toward ending the practice of hostage diplomacy, and he is on his way home. And I've got a photo to show that to prove it right after this. Secretary Rubio, release of Dennis Coyle today after more than a year of captivity in Afghanistan. Dennis Coyle is on his way home. President Trump is committed to ending unjust detentions overseas. Dennis joins over 100 Americans who have been freed in the past 15 months under his second term in office. We thank the United Arab Emirates for its support in securing Dennis's release. We also appreciate Qatar's continued support and advocacy for Americans unjustly detained in Afghanistan. While this is a positive step by the Taliban, more work needs to be done. We are still seeking the immediate return of Mahmoud Habibi, Paul Overby, and all other unjustly detained Americans. The Taliban must end their practice of hostage diplomacy. And from Katie Pavlich, just in exclusive, the first photo of American Dennis Coyle as a free man. President Trump said during our News Nation interview on January 20th, 2026, that he would work to get Dennis released. He directed his team to get it done, and 2 months later, Dennis is coming home. And there you go. There's the proof right there. The image. And from FBI Director Kash Patel, 6 months later, President Trump's Memphis law enforcement surge is saving lives. 43% drop in crime year to year. That is a massive drop in a single year. Holy cow. I mean, look, dude, crime's dropping all over the country. It is. We've got the lowest crime numbers going all the way back to the year 1900. Memphis Task Force has smashed crime, Trump says, from Rob Tao and Jordan Perkins from a day ago. And Kash Patel, he usually drops the links. Oh, he didn't drop it this time. Oh, man, I'm disappointed in you, Kash Patel. Oh, well, I guess I'll take his word for it. Anyway, I'm sure a simple Google search will lead you to that. Sorry, I don't have it up in front of me right now. But we do have this. Serious crime nearly cut in half in Memphis. The city of Memphis Safe Task Force on Sunday, 2025, 21,691 serious crimes. In 2026, only 12,317. Holy crap, man. Yeah, it was like almost cut in half. 43% change going down. And HHS Rapid Response, Secretary Kennedy on the old dietary guidelines at USDA's Agriculture Day year 2026 event. Quote, we switched Americans from a very healthy meal to what we have today, where 70% of the calories that our kids eat are highly refined carbohydrates or ultra-processed food. And predictably, as a result of that, we have the sickest generation in the history of mankind. Even that's kind of an understatement.
Study that showed, there was no real study, let me put it that way, because there was a couple of industry-funded studies back in the 50s that have been completely debunked that showed a connection between protein consumption and heart attack. It wasn't science. It was dogma. And yet for 70 years, it was embedded in the national consciousness that if you ate meat, that it was bad for you. If you drank a whole milk, it was bad for you. And we switched Americans from a very healthy meal to what we have today, where 70% of the calories that our kids eat are highly refined carbohydrates or ultra-processed food.
Yeah, man, Big Pharma wants you sick. They don't want you healthy.
We have the sickest generation.
You can't make money that way.
Of mankind. We have the sickest people. We have the highest chronic disease burden in the world. We spend 2 to 3 times what other nations do on our healthcare. We have the best healthcare system, the best healthcare of any country. And yet we have the sickest population.
Yeah, of course, there's big sugar. I'm sure they play a massive part in that as well. And we have one more from Secretary Kennedy. These new dietary guidelines end the war against protein, end the war against saturated fat, and they get Americans good food again.
These new dietary guidelines end the war against protein, end the war against saturated fats, and they get Americans good food again. And Brooke spends $405 million a day at this agency subsidizing food for the American people.
Crazy.
In Head Start, in WIC, in the SNAP program,
at least we could do is make it healthy.
Many, many others. And now that food is going to be good food. Our military is going to be getting good food.
Well, good. And our government subsidizes billions, probably hundreds. Actually, they do hundreds of billions of dollars for Medicare, Medicaid, our healthcare system. You know, that's taking care of people who've been eating this junk food for years and years and years. Rapid Response 47, the First Lady of the United States hosts a Fostering the Future Together summit with leaders from 45 nations and 28 tech companies to address challenges children face in the digital era. Today's meeting is unprecedented. Never before have so many tech visionaries stood before such a large global audience of leaders in the State Department and the White House over a 2-day period. Nice.
As people, we dream. As leaders, we progress. As nations, we will build. Beginning today, let's accelerate our new global alliance, this bond, to positively impact the progress of our children. Welcome, members, to the inaugural meeting of Fostering the Future Together. Our coalition's mission is to empower children by providing greater access to technology and education. This is a historic moment in time. Our key driver, to cultivate the skills young people need to be successful in this rapidly evolving world. Fostering the Future Together will achieve this by creating innovative learning programs, advocating for supportive education policies, sponsoring new tech-focused legislation, and building strong partnerships between the public and private sectors. Each of you has a vital role to play in shaping the tech ed opportunities for the next generation. Fostering the Future Together's collaborative platform will serve as a capability multiplier for members.
All right, one sec.
This added benefit is derived directly from our coalition's foundational elements: AI, education, and global leadership. Our shared vision prioritizes children above political philosophy, geographical borders, and local prejudices. To turn this vision into action, I invite each of you to participate, commit to hosting a regional meeting, conduct a research study, advance new partnerships, collaborate with another member nation in your region of the world. Magic happens in our nation's capital, particularly when the private and public sectors join forces. Today's meeting is unprecedented. I commend America's leading companies for convening with us today. Never before have so many tech visionaries stood before such a large global audience of leaders in the State Department and the White House over the 2-day period. Nowhere else could such a concentration of excellence be assembled, from AI pioneers like OpenAI, Palantir, and xAI, to tech platforms like Google and Meta, creative engines like Adobe and Microsoft, plus human connectivity through Zoom communications.
Yeah, they dumped a lot of money in AI.
With extraordinary human
capital. I don't know if OpenAI is going to be around for a few more years.
Harness it to elevate your children, to empower your people, and to accelerate your economies. Our Coalition for Leaders will improve our future, but only by supporting concrete initiatives that equip young people with the skills and knowledge they need. Together, let's invest, expand success, and create opportunities for education and technology. I wish everyone great success during Fostering the Future Together's Global Coalition Summit. There is much to accomplish over this 2-day period, and this is only the beginning. Thank you.
We're getting our children educated with AI, with the initiative to improve the education standards with our children and technology. I mean, I think it's a fantastic idea. You know, the AI is not going anywhere, not anytime soon. I mean, maybe it's going to either plateau or maybe it's going to drop off a bit. maybe in the private sector, because I don't think most people are willing to pay for it, at least not a la carte like they've been trying to get people to do. But anyway, it's a good thing from the First Lady. NASA Administrator Jared Isaacman to build a sustained human presence on the moon. We are building NASA Moon Base, prioritizing surface operations and scalable infrastructure, frequent robotic landings and mobility testing, including moonfall drones. Starting in 2027, nearly monthly cadence of equipment and rovers with scientific payloads are going to be landing on the moon. I'm telling you, man, they're building a moon base. This is happening. Science fiction, now science fact. Investments in power, communications, and surface mobility. Yeah, they're going to be dropping a nuclear power cell on the surface of the moon. I don't know all the details about it, but they're going nuclear on the moon. Scalable infrastructure to support long-term human presence. The objective is clear. Build the foundation for an enduring lunar base and take the next step toward Mars. And that's absolutely wild. It's very cool stuff. And, of course, there's the image. You know, if you get an idea as to what they're doing with the moon base. The other images that I've seen another image that showed a greenhouse that they're going to be adding like a greenhouse facility of sorts on the moon. So definitely fantastic movement. Definitely looking forward to that. And they're supposed to be sending the Artemis 2 mission up in the next couple of weeks. So in the meantime, if you enjoyed tonight's episode, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. And I'll be back tomorrow night as we explore the swamp Monday through Friday and everyone in it, the politicians, bureaucrats, agencies, the administration. I also post daily on X, which is where you can peek at the content for the next episode. And don't forget, the video clips from tonight will begin dropping on the channel tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Eastern. Thank you very much for watching. Always remember to stay positive. God bless the troops and God bless America.